Once, long ago, they had been a great race. Scientists, explorers, builders of vast cities that touched the stars. But time had erased them. Their homeworld was gone, their history forgotten, and their name nothing but a whisper in the darkness. For centuries, they had drifted through space in old, failing ships, surviving but never truly living. Their numbers had dwindled. Each generation grew smaller, weaker. They had no allies, no friends. The galaxy was a cruel place, ruled by mighty empires that had no room for the weak. Other species saw them as nothing more than shadows of the past, unworthy of remembrance. And so, the Volteri hid. They lived on ancient generation ships, each one a dying relic from a time before they were forgotten. The largest of these ships, the Scifi, served as their home, their fortress, and their prison. The ship's power was failing, its engines growing weaker every year. The Volteri had no planets of their own, no safe haven. They only had each other and the endless void. Then, one day, everything changed. A distress signal flickered on their long-range scanners. A weak, broken transmission from the depths of space. It was not Volteri in origin. It was something else. Something unfamiliar. It was human. The Volteri gathered in the Scifians' control room, watching the signal repeat on their screens. It was a call for help. A human freighter had been attacked. Pirates. The same kind of raiders who had hunted the Volteri for generations. Some of the elders wanted to ignore it. The Volteri were not warriors. They had no strength left to fight. But others, especially the younger ones, felt a strange curiosity. Humans, one of them murmured, "What do we know about them?" The answer was, not much. The Volteri had never met humans before. They had heard only whispers, stories of a rising species, a people who fought against impossible odds and refused to kneel before stronger empires. Some claimed that humans were ruthless, dangerous, unpredictable. Others said they were different from the rest of the galaxy. But no one truly knew the truth. With hesitation, the Volteri changed their course, following the signal toward the edge of an asteroid belt. As they approached, they saw the battle unfolding before them. The human freighter was crippled, its engines sparking, its hull torn apart by pirate fire. Small, fast raider ships circled it like hungry beasts. The pirates had no interest in mercy. They wanted the cargo, the ship, and a crew. The Volteri watched, unsure of what to do. They had no weapons strong enough to help. If they revealed themselves, the pirates might attack them too. Then, before they could decide, the space around them flashed with light. A new fleet had arrived, human warships. Sleek, powerful, and terrifying in their speed, the human ships came out of hyperspace with deadly precision. They'd wasted no time. Missiles launched. Laser fire ripped through the void. The pirates, expecting easy prey, found themselves outmatched. The Volteri had never seen anything like it. Humans did not fight for conquest. They did not fight for power. They fought to protect their own. The pirates tried to flee, but the humans did not let them escape so easily. Within minutes, the battle was over. The human warships secured the area, moving quickly to rescue the freighter's crew. The Volteri sat in silence, watching it all unfold. For so long, they had believed the galaxy had no place for the weak, that no species would fight for anything other than greed and power. But here, before their very eyes, was something different, something they had never seen before. Hope. The battle was over. The human warships floated near the damaged freighter, scanning for any remaining threats. The pirates had been wiped out or forced to flee. The Volteri had seen battles before, but never like this. The humans had moved with precision, with purpose. They had not fought for conquest or wealth. They had fought to protect. Inside the Scifian, the Volteri leaders debated what to do next. "They are dangerous," one of the elders warned. "Humans fight like predators. We should leave before they see us." "But they fought for their own," another argued. If they were like the other species, they would have left that freighter to be destroyed. Instead, they risked their lives to save it. For centuries, the Volteri had survived by avoiding contact. No one in the galaxy cared for a forgotten people. Why would humans be any different? Yet something inside them, perhaps desperation, perhaps hope, made them hesitate. Finally, the High Elder, an old Volteri named Severek, made a decision. "Open a transmission," he said. "Let us see if these humans are truly different." The communication officers hesitated before activating the ship's long unused transmitter. A connection was made. A human face appeared on the screen. The Volteri had expected something terrifying. A warlord, a conqueror, perhaps a being with eyes filled with hunger for power. Instead, they saw Captain Ilias Carter. He was not dressed in shining armor or covered in battle scars. He was a middle-aged man with tired eyes and a sharp mind. His uniform was neat but worn, showing he was no stranger to hard work. When he saw the Volteri, his eyebrows lifted in surprise. "This is Captain Ilias Carter of the Terran Alliance fleet," he said. His voice was calm but firm. "We didn't expect company. Who am I speaking to?" Severek hesitated. It had been so long since the Volteri had spoken to an outsider. Would the humans mock them, ignore them, or threaten them? "I am Severek, leader of the Volteri," he answered. We have been forgotten by the galaxy." Captain Carter frowned. "Forgotten." He leaned forward. "That doesn't sound right. No species should be forgotten." Severek felt something strange in those words. The way the human spoke, it was not out of politeness. It was genuine. The Volteri had been ignored by the galaxy for so long that they had almost accepted their fate. But here was a human, a stranger, who immediately saw something wrong in that. "We received your distress signal," Severek continued. "We did not know what to expect from humans." Captain Carter smirked slightly. "And what do you think of us?" Severek thought of the battle. The speed, the strategy, the sheer refusal to abandon their own. It was unlike anything he had seen before. "I think," Severek said slowly, choosing his words carefully, "you are not like the others." Captain Carter's smirk faded. His face grew serious. "We try not to be," he said. "If you're in trouble, the least we can do is help." Help. The Volteri had never heard that word from another species before. Severek looked at his people. Their eyes were filled with something new, something that had not existed in their hearts for generations. Hope. But hope was dangerous. Hope could be crushed. Severek took a deep breath. "We are running out of time. Our ships are failing. We have nowhere to go." Captain Carter was silent for a moment, as if considering his next words carefully. Then he nodded. "There's a Terran station not far from here," he said. "We can escort you, get your ships repaired, get your people food, medicine." Severek felt his heart tighten. Could it really be that simple? Would the humans truly help them, expecting nothing in return? One of the younger Volteri whispered, "Can we trust them?" Severek did not know the answer. But for the first time in centuries, he wanted to believe. For centuries, the Volteri had drifted through space, avoiding contact, hiding from stronger species. But now, for the first time in generations, they were about to trust outsiders. The humans had offered them help, food, medicine, repairs, and Captain Carter had asked for nothing in return. But trust was not easy. As the Scifian followed the human fleet toward the Terran station, the Volteri on board whispered among themselves. "What if this is a trick?" Some murmured. "What if they see our weakness and take advantage?" Severek listened but remained silent. Deep down, he shared their fears. The galaxy was not kind. The Volteri had learned that long ago, yet something about the humans felt different. Their leader did not speak in riddles or threats. His voice had carried something unfamiliar, honesty. Still, Severek knew words were easy to say. Actions, however, revealed the truth. After a few hours, the human station came into view. The Tias Haven, a massive floating structure, stood against the darkness of space like a beacon of light. It was not built for war. Unlike the battle-hardened warships that had destroyed the pirates, this station was meant for trade, repairs, and diplomacy. Large docking arms extended outward, ready to receive ships in need. The Valtteri had never seen anything like it. A message came through. "This is the Tias Haven Docking Control," a human voice said. "We have received orders from Captain Carter to assist your people. You are cleared for docking." Sevrak exhaled. It was real. Slowly, carefully, the Scifian moved forward, guided by human control systems. As their ship settled into place, the station's gravity fields engaged, securing them safely. The docking ramp extended. The doors opened. A team of humans stood waiting. Engineers, medical officers, and security personnel, all dressed in uniforms. They carried scanners and supplies, ready to assist, not to conquer. Captain Carter stepped forward. "Welcome to Haven," he said with a small smile. "You've had a long journey. Let's get you settled." The Valtteri hesitated. This was the moment of truth. If the humans wished to betray them, now was the perfect time. But instead of soldiers forcing them out, they saw doctors offering medical kits, mechanics studying their ship's damage, and workers carrying food supplies. A young Valtteri child clutched her mother's hand, staring at the humans with wide eyes. One of the human medics, a woman with a kind face, knelt and offered the child a small nutrient bar. The child hesitated, then slowly reached out and took it. A murmur spread through the Valtteri. Could it be true? Were they really safe? Sevrak turned to Captain Carter. "Why?" he asked. Carter raised an eyebrow. "Why what?" "Why help us?" Sevrak's voice was steady, but there was an old pain beneath it. "We are nothing to this galaxy. No one remembers us. No one cares. Why should humans be different?" Carter sighed. "Because we were you once." Sevrak blinked. "What?" Carter looked around at his crew, then back at Sevrak. "A long time ago, humans were weak, forgotten, alone. We fought wars, lost everything, and barely survived. But we made it because, in the end, we had each other. And now, when we see others suffering like we once did," he shook his head, "we refuse to look away." Sevrak felt something shift inside him. It was something he had not felt in a very, very long time. Hope. Behind him, the Valtteri began stepping forward, one by one, accepting the humans' help. Engineers guided them toward repair stations, doctors checked their health, and food was distributed. For the first time in centuries, the Valtteri were not alone. Sevrak looked at Carter and gave a slow nod. "Perhaps," he said, "humans are truly different after all." Carter grinned. "Stick around. You might just like what you see." And for the first time, in a long time, Sevrak believed him. For the first time in generations, the Valtteri were safe. Inside Tias Haven, the human station, they were given food, medical care, and a place to rest. Many of them, especially the younger ones, had never seen anything like it. The station was huge, with corridors stretching far in every direction, clean white walls, and soft artificial lighting that mimicked the warmth of a distant sun. Sevrak walked through the station, watching his people. Some were nervous, still expecting betrayal. Others, especially the children, were filled with wonder. The humans had not locked them up. There were no guards pushing them around. Instead, engineers explained how their technology worked. Doctors patiently treated their injuries, and workers prepared food that the Valtteri could eat. It felt unreal. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps. He turned to see Captain Carter approaching with a data pad in hand. "How are your people holding up?" Carter asked. Sevrak glanced at a group of young Valtteri being guided through a medical bay by human nurses. A child laughed as a doctor gave her a small glowing tablet, some kind of interactive learning device. "They are adjusting," Sevrak admitted. "Your people are kind. That is rare in this galaxy." Carter chuckled. "Not all of us, but we try." Severac studied him. The human captain was calm, confident, and spoke with no hidden meaning. That was even rarer. You said something before, Severac said, that humans were once like us. Forgotten. Alone. Carter nodded. A long time ago, before we reached the stars, humanity almost destroyed itself. Wars, hunger, disease. We nearly wiped ourselves out. But we survived, and when we finally looked beyond our world, we swore we wouldn't turn away from others who suffered as we once did. Severac frowned. And yet, I have seen humans fight wars. I have seen them conquer. Carter sighed. We're not perfect. Some of us still follow the old ways, taking what they want by force. But most of us, we believe in something better. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to make sure no one else suffers like we did. Severac was silent for a long moment. Then he asked, Why help us? Carter shrugged. Because you needed help. Severac's mind raced. Could it really be that simple? No hidden deals. No secret plans. Just kindness. Before he could say more, a loud alarm rang through the station. A voice echoed through the speakers. Unidentified ships detected on long-range scanners. All crew prepare for possible engagement. Carter's expression hardened. He tapped his communicator. What do we have? A voice replied. Unknown fleet approaching from Vector 7-4. Composition suggests possible pirate activity. Severac's blood ran cold. Pirates. Carter motioned for him to follow. They walked quickly toward the command center. As the doors slid open, Severac saw a room filled with human officers monitoring holographic displays. On one of the screens, several ships blinked into view, too many to be a simple scouting party. They followed us, Severac whispered. Carter's jaw tightened. Looks like it. The Volteri had been running from these pirates for years. They had survived by hiding, by fleeing, but now they were cornered. Severac turned to Carter. We must leave. If they find us here, they will burn your station to the ground. Carter didn't look worried. Instead, he simply smiled. We're not running, he said. Severac blinked. What? Carter leaned against the console, arms crossed. You've been running your whole life, haven't you? Always afraid, always looking over your shoulder. Severac clenched his fists. We had no choice. Carter's gaze was steady. Now you do. Severac's breath caught in his throat. A choice. No one had ever offered them one before. A human officer spoke up. Captain, incoming transmission from the pirate fleet. Carter nodded. Put them through. The screen flickered, and a rough-scurred face appeared. The alien had cold, cruel eyes and a grin that sent chills down Severac's spine. You have something that belongs to us, the pirate sneered. Hand over the Volteri, and we might let you live. Severac felt a familiar dread creeping in. He had heard this threat before. He knew how this ended. But then Carter spoke. Funny, he said. I don't remember taking orders from criminals. The pirate's grin faltered. You think you can fight us? Carter's smile widened. I know we can. The pirate snarled, cutting the transmission. The screen shifted back to the tactical display, showing the enemy ships moving into attack formation. Severac turned to Carter. They will show no mercy. Carter rolled his shoulders. Neither will we. A wave of energy filled the room. The humans weren't afraid. They were ready. For the first time in his life, Severac felt something he had never known before. He was not alone. And this time, he would not run. The pirate fleet moved closer, their dark, jagged ships spreading out like a pack of hungry beasts. Inside Taz Haven, alarms blared, red lights flashing across the corridors. The humans worked quickly, their movements precise and focused. They had fought many battles before. This was just another day for them. Severac stood beside Captain Carter, watching the tactical screen. His heart pounded as he saw the pirate ships forming an attack formation. He had seen this before. Whenever the pirates found the Volteri, it always ended the same way. fire, destruction, and death. But something was different this time. The humans were not afraid. "Shields up. Prepare defensive positions," Carter ordered. His voice was calm, steady, like he had already won the battle in his mind. A female officer called out, "Sir, enemy ships are charging their weapons." Carter nodded. "Good. Let's give them a warm welcome." Severak's eyes widened as human weapons came to life. The station's outer defenses activated. Turrets, missile launchers, and energy cannons hummed with deadly power. Meanwhile, human warships undocked from the station, moving into position. Unlike the pirate ships, which looked rough and hastily built, the human ships were strong, armored, and fast. Severak had never seen such technology before. He had always believed the pirates were unstoppable. But now, for the first time, he wondered, could the humans win? A pirate ship fired first, a streak of red plasma shooting toward the station. It struck the energy shield, causing a bright flash. But instead of breaking, the shield held firm. Carter smirked. "Their weapons are weak. They've been bullying helpless refugees for too long. Let's show them what happens when they pick on the wrong people." He turned to his officers. "Fire." The human ships responded instantly. Bright blue energy beams shot through space, slamming into the pirate fleet. 2 enemy ships exploded on impact, their hulls breaking apart like paper. The pirate leader's voice came through the comms, furious. "You dare fight back? You are outnumbered." Carter chuckled. "Yeah, you should have brought more ships." More explosions lit up the battlefield as human missiles found their targets. The pirates scrambled, trying to regroup, but the humans were too fast, too precise. They didn't fight like desperate survivors. They fought like warriors who had trained for this moment. Severak could hardly believe it. For years, he and his people had run from these monsters. They had hidden in shadows, hoping to be forgotten. But the humans, they didn't run. They fought. Suddenly, an officer shouted, "Captain, 3 pirate ships are breaking formation. They're heading for the station." Carter's expression darkened. "They're trying to board us." Severak's blood turned cold. If the pirates got inside, they would show no mercy. The Valteri had no weapons, no way to fight back. The humans were their only hope. Carter tapped his communicator. "Security teams, prepare for boarding action. We're not letting them step 1 foot inside." He looked at Severak. "You want to help?" Severak hesitated. He had never fought before. His whole life, he had been told to run, hide, survive. But now he saw what survival really meant. He nodded. Carter tossed him a small weapon, a compact stun pistol. "Stay close and aim for the legs. We'll handle the rest." The station shook as the pirate ships latched onto it. The sound of metal tearing echoed through the corridors. They were coming. Carter and his soldiers took position near the docking bay. Severak stood behind them, heart pounding, hands trembling. Then, with a loud hiss, the pirate airlocks burst open. The fight had begun. The pirates stormed in, weapons blazing. But the humans were ready. They moved fast, firing with precision, taking down enemy after enemy. The station's defenses kicked in. Turrets in the ceiling fired at intruders, forcing them to take cover. Severak ducked behind a crate. A pirate spotted him, raising his weapon. But before he could fire, a human soldier tackled him to the ground. Severak's hands shook as he raised his stun pistol. He aimed and fired. The pirate collapsed, stunned. Severak gasped. He had done it. He had fought back. All around him, the humans pushed forward, clearing the station 1 corridor at a time. The pirates weren't used to this. They were used to fear, to surrender. But the humans? They didn't know how to surrender. Within minutes, the remaining pirates fled, retreating back to their ships. The ones who didn't escape were captured. An officer turned to Carter. "Sir, they're running." Carter smiled. "Good. Let them tell the rest of the galaxy. Humanity doesn't bow to tyrants." Sevrak could barely breathe. The impossible had happened. The pirates, the nightmare that had hunted his people for generations, had been defeated. The battle was over. For the first time in his life, Sevrak felt safe. And it was all because of humanity. The pirate ships disappeared into the dark void of space, their engines burning bright as they retreated. The battle was over. The station stood firm, its shields flickering as they recovered from the attack. Inside, the corridors smelled of smoke and energy discharge. Sevrak leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. His hand still trembled from the fight. He had never held a weapon before today, never imagined he could stand against the pirates who had haunted his people for generations. But here he was, alive, victorious, and unbroken. Carter approached, his uniform slightly torn, but his eyes sharp as ever. "You did good, kid," he said, patting Sevrak's shoulder. "Not bad for your first fight." Sevrak let out a nervous chuckle. "I didn't even know if I could do it." Carter grinned. "That's how it starts. You don't know until the moment comes, and when it does, you either run or fight. You chose to fight. That matters." Sevrak nodded, but deep inside, something still felt unreal. His people had spent their entire history hiding, running, surviving, never fighting. Now, for the first time, he had seen what it meant to stand your ground. A voice came through Carter's communicator. "Captain, security reports no remaining hostiles aboard. The prisoners have been secured." Carter pressed the device. "Good work. Status of the Volteri refugees." Another voice responded. "All safe, sir. No casualties." Sevrak closed his eyes for a moment, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. His people were safe, not just for today, but because of humanity. The doors of the medical bay slid open, and some injured humans walked in, supported by their comrades. Sevrak saw how they helped each other, cared for each other. Even those who had taken heavy hits refused to complain, laughing and joking as they were treated. Sevrak turned to Carter. "Why do you fight like this? Why do you risk your lives for others?" Carter crossed his arms, looking at the ceiling for a moment before answering. "Because that's what humans do. We don't let monsters take what's not theirs. We don't abandon people who need help." He glanced at Sevrak. "And we sure as hell don't run when things get tough." Sevrak thought about those words. His whole life, he had believed in escaping, surviving, disappearing. But now he saw something stronger, a reason to stand. Suddenly, the doors to the command center opened, and a woman in an officer's uniform walked in. Admiral Vasquez. She was in charge of this sector. Sevrak could feel her presence. She carried herself with confidence and authority. She looked at Carter. "Report." Carter stood straight. "Pirate fleet repelled. 3 ships destroyed. The rest retreated. No losses on our side." Vasquez raised an eyebrow. "No losses?" She glanced around at the humans, bruised but smiling, then at the Volteri, who looked at their protectors with awe and gratitude. She turned her gaze to Sevrak. "I heard you helped." Sevrak straightened. I did what I could." She nodded. "Good, because this is only the beginning." Sevrak frowned. "What do you mean?" Vasquez folded her arms. "The pirates won't stop. They lost today, but they'll be back with more ships, more weapons. They don't like losing." Sevrak's stomach twisted. "Then, what do we do?" Vasquez gave him a small smile. "We prepare. You said your people have been running for years. That ends now. You can't keep hiding." Carter stepped forward. "We'll help you. Train your people. Teach them to defend themselves." Sevrak hesitated. Could the Volteri really change? Could they learn to fight after spending centuries fleeing? He looked at his people, their tired eyes, their thin bodies, the fear still lingering in their expressions. But mixed in that fear was something new. Hope. A young Volteri woman stepped forward. We want to learn." Others murmured in agreement. The idea was scary, but the alternative, being hunted forever, was worse. Carter smiled. Then we start tomorrow. Severak's heart pounded. This was it, the moment his people stopped running. For the first time, the Volturi weren't just survivors. They were fighters, and humanity would stand with them. For the first time in centuries, the Volturi were not running. Instead, they stood side by side with humans, learning to fight, to defend, to stand their ground. Severak felt the weight of this change in every muscle, every breath, and every strike of his training weapon. Carter walked among them, correcting their stances, teaching them how to move, react, and survive in battle. "Keep your balance, Severak," he said, nudging Severak's feet into the right position. "A good stance keeps you standing when everything else tries to knock you down." Severak nodded, adjusting his posture. The movements felt awkward, but the more he practiced, the more natural they became. Around him, other Volturi struggled at first, but their determination kept them going. Admiral Vasquez observed from the command deck, arms crossed. She spoke through the intercom, her voice firm yet encouraging. "You were once a forgotten people. Today, you take control of your future. No one will hunt you again." A cheer rose from the Volturi. It wasn't loud, but it was strong. Days turned into weeks. The station, once just a place of refuge, became something greater, a home, a fortress, a symbol of resilience. The Volturi engineers worked alongside human mechanics, reinforcing the station's defenses, modifying weapons, and learning the art of war. Then came the moment they had all been waiting for. The pirates returned. A fleet of warships emerged from the void, engines burning red. This time, they didn't come to raid. They came to destroy. Their leader, a scared alien with cold eyes, appeared on the station's main screen. "You should have stayed weak," he snarled. "Now we burn your new friends along with you." But the Volturi were not the same people they had been. Severak stood beside Carter on the command bridge, his hands clenched into fists. "We fight back," he said. "No fear, no hesitation." Carter grinned. "That's the spirit." The station's defenses roared to life. Cannons fired, shields activated, and squadrons of human and Volturi pilots launched into space. The battle was unlike anything the Volturi had ever seen, not a desperate escape, but a true stand. The pirates expected easy prey. They found warriors. Severak and his team worked together, directing weapons fire, coordinating defenses, holding the line. He saw his people, once terrified and broken, fighting, standing tall, refusing to back down. One pirate ship after another fell. The station took heavy hits, but it stood strong. Then, the pirate leader's flagship turned to flee. Admiral Vasquez's voice rang through the station. "We let them run. They'll be back. Finish this." Severak's heart pounded. He knew what had to be done. "Target their engines," he ordered. "They don't escape today." A final barrage of fire hit the flagship's engines. The ship exploded in a flash of light. The battle was over. Silence filled the station. Then, cheers. Victory. Carter clapped Severak on the back. "Not bad, kid. Not bad at all." Severak looked around at his people, his warriors. They weren't forgotten anymore. They weren't weak. They had earned their place in the stars. And humanity had been their protector, their teacher, but most of all, their friend. A new era had begun, and the Volturi were ready.